Welcome my dear listeners, stay with me to get the spoilers first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on The Young and the Restless. Sienna kills Matt and the Vegas nightmare ends with a blood-soaked knock at the door. One thing the current Young and the Restless recap makes clear: Las Vegas is still reeling from Matt Clark's explosion. Victor Newman's rescue came just in the nick of time and the Newmans lived to fight another day. Nick, Adam, Sharon and Noah all survived the gas station fireball. But the aftermath is far from over. Nick has just come back from seeing doctors. Sharon and Noah are still trying to take in the horror of what happened, and the whole family is about to be stand again when Sienna Buckle returns with blood on her clothes and says Matt is dead because she killed him. Before the blood-soaked surprise, the episode spends some real time on the emotional fallout from the rescue. Nick has seen doctors and he returns to the suite with Sharon and Noah, who explains that Nick's doctor urged him to go into drug treatment. Adam immediately kicks himself for having told Nick to take the pills in the car, and Nick takes the blame and says he would have come up with a fix either way. The scene is important because it shows that the rescue didn't magically fix Nick's addiction crisis. It just got him out of the fire for a moment. The emotional work is not behind him, and everyone in the room knows it. Adam's next emotional beat is equally as important. He and Chelsea go back to the hotel and he tells her about the explosion and he is grateful that Victor's men were there in time to save them. Adam is going to be unbelievably thankful when he learns Chelsea made the call to Victor. That gratitude matters because Chelsea's panic call is what changed the whole story from a massacre to a rescue. Right now, Adam is still rattled, still shaken by the danger Nick was in, but the relief of surviving is finally starting to sink in. The big spoilers of the week had already altered viewers that this rescue was coming to the head. This week's breakdown sees Sharon and Noah fighting for their lives, Chelsea and Sienna teaming up, and by the end of the week, Sharon will be questioning Sienna's loyalty. That is to say, Sienna's part has been dubious and emotionally all along. Even before the blood-spattered reveal, it's not just a surprise but the payoff to a week of uneasy alliances, last-minute rescues, and the growing scene that Sienna knows more than she's saying. And then comes the part that changes the mood of the whole episode. Adam and Chelsea leave to go home to Connor and the suit gets one last knock at the door. Noah responded. Sienna stumbled inside, her clothes and chest spattered with blood. It's the kind of soap opera entrance reserved for when everyone in the room just convinced themselves that the nightmare is over. So they get horror instead of relief. Instead of a clean getaway, they get a woman who looks like she just came out of a murder scene. What's more shocking than Sienna's arrival? Sienna's revelation. She tells Noah, Sharon and Nick that Matt is dead and that she killed him. That's the cue that knocks the room out. Noah is flabbergasted, Sharon is dumbfounded, and even Nick, who has been through the fire, the drugs and the hospital, is hit with a fresh wave of shock. The reveal changes everything before it immediately. The family believed they were done surviving the blast. Now they are looking at the person who could have ended Matt's reign in the most brutal way possible. The drama of Sienna's confession is compounded by the fact the show has already hinted she would do just about anything to stop Matt. The spoiler coverage for the previous episode said Sienna made a desperate move to save the Newmans by offering herself, but Matt detonated anyway because she was never planning to negotiate. In other words, Sienna's "I killed him" doesn't feel like a throwaway twist. It lands like the final answer of a woman who has tried diplomacy, sacrifice, and pleading before violence was the only language left in the room. Therefore, the question starts immediately. If Sienna killed Matt, was it in self-defense? Was it a desperate attempt after he had tricked everyone into a deadly game? Kill him because he wouldn't stop otherwise? The latest summary does not describe the killing, only the blood-spattered look and the admission that Matt is dead. That's why the emotional fallout comes in to do the hard work. Sharon, Nick, and Noah all have to figure out it. They have looking at a murderer, a rescuer, or a woman who crossed a queue because Matt pushed her there. The most important thing is Noah's reaction in that moment because Sienna came looking for him. Earlier in the recap, Noah finds out Sienna came to Vegas by tracking her down through Riza Thompson, who gave her the petrol station address. Nick and Sharon are ready to leave, but Noah refuses to leave without Sienna. That means the emotional heart of the storyline is still Noah and Sienna's connection. So when she turns up bloody and says she killed Matt, Noah's the only one person who might understand how hard she might have fought to stay alive that night. But Nick and Sharon are in a very different place emotionally. They have been through the fire, watched the doctor's work on Nick, and just started to talk through the drug crisis that Matt used as a weapon against him. It's a painful piece of honesty that Nick admits he would have gone looking for a fix anyway. And Sharon is trying to hold the family together and understand Nick's addiction and that Matt went after them first. Another impossible thing to deal with is Sienna's bloody return. It's not just about surviving Matt anymore, it's about the kind of woman Sienna has become in the process. Adam's role in the story adds another level of guilt and relief due the aftermath. He already feels guilty about arguing Nick to take the drugs in the car, though Nick tells him he would have found a way to get a fix anyway. Adam also thanks Chelsea for making the call that got Victor's rescue team going. So when Sienna walks in and says Matt is dead, Adam isn't in the room to hear it, but this part in the whole disaster is still creating ripple effects. He helped get Nick through the night, Chelsea helped bring in the cavalry, and Victor's people helped keep everyone alive. Sienna's confession has now created a whole new problem for the rest of the people in Vegas. It's also where the show's larger weekly arc comes into focus. Spoilers say Sharon will be questioning Sienna's loyalty by the end of the week, which means this isn't going to be resolved cleanly or quickly. That suspicion is built into the story itself. Sienna appears the moment the family drops its guard, then drops a death confession in the middle of the room. Even if she killed Matt to save anyone, the optics are awful. Sharon is suspicious already. Now she has to decide whether Sienna is a savior, a loose cannon, or somewhere in between. The timing of Matt's death is also important, as it comes after a long period where he weaponized Nick's addiction and terrorized Sharon and Noah. Matt has previously taken Nick hostage in spoiler coverage, with plans to drag him and use his vulnerability as a centerpiece of his revenge. He had already made it clear by the time he blows up the petrol station that he would rather burn the Newmans alive than lose control. So Sienna's claim she killed him doesn't seem out of nowhere. It feels like the final result of a man who wouldn't quit until someone stopped him. The biggest emotional shift now is that the rescue story turns into a murder story. Victor's men managed to get the fam out in time. Nick survived the hospital scare. Adam and Chelsea made it back to Connor, and everyone thought the worst was behind them. But once Sienna arrives blood-soaked and claiming Matt is dead, this episode is no longer about survival but aftermath. Guilt and law enforcement questions hanging just around the corner. The spoiler text says she will have plenty of questions to answer soon. And that's certainly what this setup promises. The family is not out of danger, it has only moved to a new level. So the story of Sienna killing Matt isn't really the story of a shot or a death. It's a story about a woman walking back into the room after the worst night of everybody's lives and shoving the truth out into the open. And Noah is staggered. She came for him. Sharon is shocked. She doesn't know how much she can trust her anymore. Nick is stunned. He has been through enough already, and now another violent turn must be processed. And Matt finally is dead. Not in a quiet ending, but in a bloody confession that has everyone in the suit waiting for what's next. And this is the moment where everything flips. Because ending the nightmare doesn't mean escaping it. Because let's be honest, when someone walks in covered in blood and says it's over, it never really is. To me, Sienna's confession doesn't feel like closure, it feels like the beginning of a much darker chapter, where survival comes with consequences no one is ready for. What hits the hardest is this. She didn't just stop Matt, she crossed a line, and once that line is crossed, there's no going back to who she was before. And now the room is divided without anyone even saying it aloud. Noah sees the woman who saved them, while Sharon sees a danger she cannot fully trust. That tension right there. That's what's going to tear everything apart next, quietly, painfully. Because the real question isn't whether Matt deserved it, it's whether Sienna can live with it, and whether the Newmans can live with her after this. Do you think Noah will stand by Sienna no matter what? Or will the truth about what really happened that night change how he sees her? And if the police get involved, will Sienna's story hold up? Or is there still something she's not telling? My instinct. This isn't a clean act of self-defense. There's more to that moment. Something messy, something emotional, something that hasn't come out yet. Because in stories like this, the first version of the truth is never the full truth. And that knock on the door, it didn't just end the Vegas nightmare. It opened the door to a fallout that might be even more dangerous than the fire.